It was a story that stunned America. A teenage girl, a brutal act, and a courtroom scene that would ignite headlines around the world. But behind the shocking images and viral clips was a deeper tragedy, one of mental illness, family conflict, and a justice system trying to balance compassion and accountability. This is the story of Isabella Guzman. Isabella Guzman grew up in Aurora, Colorado, a quiet suburb east of Denver. She was the daughter of Mia and Robert Guzman, and from the outside, her life looked ordinary, a teenager navigating high school, friends, and family struggles. But inside the home, things weren't peaceful. Court records later showed that Isabella and her mother had a tense relationship for years. Relatives describe repeated arguments, shouting matches, and moments where tempers flared beyond control. Her parents had divorced when she was young, and Isabella lived primarily with her mother and stepfather, Ryan Hoy. Her father remained in her life, but their visits became more strained as Isabella grew older and more withdrawn. By the summer of 2013, when Isabella was just 18, those tensions had reached a breaking point. Her stepfather later testified that in the days before the attack, Isabella had become defiant, slamming doors, shouting insults, and accusing her mother of betrayal. Her mother, frightened and exhausted, had contacted her ex-husband for help. Robert Guzman visited the home the day before the killing, hoping to calm his daughter down. He later said she appeared distant and unresponsive, as though someone else were behind her eyes. On the evening of the 28th of August 2013, police received a frantic 911 call from Ryan Hoy, saying his stepdaughter had attacked his wife in the bathroom. When officers arrived at the small house on East Oxford Avenue, they found a horrifying scene. Mia Guzman, Isabella's mother, had been stabbed more than 150 times, injuries to her face, neck, and torso. Investigators later determined that Isabella had ambushed her mother while she was showering, locking the bathroom door behind her. When her stepfather forced his way inside, it was already too late. Isabella had fled the home through a back door. An immediate manhunt began, with police dogs and helicopters combing the neighborhood. By the next day, officers located her in a parking garage not far from her home. She was arrested without incident, wearing the same clothes from the night before. Within hours, her mugshot, blank stare, pale face spread across news channels. The public saw a monster, but investigators soon discovered a far more complex picture. During questioning, Isabella said little, but those close to her spoke about a young woman who had been behaving strangely in the weeks before the killing, talking to herself, appearing detached, and showing signs of paranoia. Her father, Robert Guzman, later said that he had tried to get her help. He told reporters that she believed evil spirits were following her, and that he had warned her mother to be cautious, to seek medical attention. The warnings went unheard until it was too late. In 2013, Isabella was charged with first-degree murder. The case shocked Colorado. The idea of an 18-year-old killing her own mother seemed incomprehensible. But as psychiatric evaluations come in, a clearer understanding began to form. Doctors concluded that Isabella suffered from a severe paranoid schizophrenia, a serious mental illness that causes hallucinations and delusions. They said she believed her mother was not really her mother, that she was possessed by something evil that needed to be destroyed. In interviews, Isabella told examiners that she had seen demons taking over people's faces and that she had to act to save the world. Her trial began in 2014. Unlike most murder trials, this one focused not on guilty, but on sanity. Prosecutors did not dispute that Isabella had killed her mother. The question was whether she understood what she was doing. Psychiatrists testified that she was living in a delusional state, unable to distinguish reality from hallucination. Family members broke down on the stand, describing how Isabella's behavior had deteriorated in the months before the attack. In a quiet courtroom, the judge ultimately ruled that Isabella Guzman was not guilty by reason of insanity. But instead be committed indefinitely to the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo. There she would receive treatment until doctors and the court determined she was no longer a danger to herself or others. For years, Isabella disappeared from the public eye. While social media kept her mugshot alive, the real Isabella was inside a secure psychiatric hospital, medicated, supervised, and undergoing therapy. There, doctors worked to stabilize her, teaching her about her illness and helping her reconnect with reality. By all accounts, her progress was slow but steady. She participated in treatment, learned to recognize her symptoms, and accepted that what she's done could never be undone. And that treatment, not punishment, was what kept her and others safe. In 2020, Isabella Guzman reappeared in headlines when she petitioned the court for release from the mental hospital. Her argument was simple. She had recovered enough to re-enter society under supervision. She spoke calmly before a judge, explaining that with therapy and medication, she was stable enough and remorseful. She said she wanted a second chance at life, not freedom from responsibility, but the chance to live outside hospital walls. Her statement surprised many who remembered only the viral mugshot from years before. In that clip, she was emotionless, smirking. She had seemed unremorseful, cold. But those who study mental illness say that clip showed the illness itself, not the person beneath it. Doctors who examined her in 2020 agreed that her condition had greatly improved, though they also warned that schizophrenia is a lifelong struggle requiring ongoing treatment. Still, the court approached her request with caution. Mental health experts explained that while Isabella had made remarkable progress, recovery from schizophrenia doesn't mean cure. It means management through medication, therapy, and a supportive environment. Without those safeguards, the delusions and paranoia could return. In the end, the judge chose not to grant full release. Instead, Isabella remained under the care of the Colorado Mental Health Institute, though with a pathway to gradual reintegration, supervised outgoings, monitored contact with the outside world, and continued psychiatric review. For many, this outcome reflected a delicate balance between public safety and human compassion. For others, it reopened a painful conversation about how America treats mental illness, especially when it leads to tragedy. Nearly a decade after that night in Aurora, Isabella Guzman's story continues to challenge our understanding of justice. Her case asks difficult questions. How do we define accountability when a person's perception of reality is shattered by psychosis? Can someone truly atone for actions committed under the grip of delusion? And how do families heal after violence born not of hatred, but of illness? Experts often point to Isabella's case as a lesson in both tragedy and hope. Tragedy because a mother's life was lost and a family forever broken. Hope because it shows what can happen when the focus shifts from vengeance to understanding. In her most recent public appearances, Isabella has spoken softly, thoughtfully, and with remorse. She acknowledges her illness and the reality that she must live with its consequences for the rest of her life. She says she wants to use her story to raise awareness about mental health, to remind others that psychosis can destroy not only the individual, but everyone around them if it goes untreated. There's no undoing what happened in 2013, no way to erase the horror or the loss, but there is meaning to be found in the aftermath, in the ongoing effort to understand the mind, and to see those who suffer not as monsters, but as people in need of help before it's too late. Isabella Guzman remains under supervision today, continuing treatment as part of a long-term recovery. For her, the path forward is uncertain, shaped not by courts or headlines, but by the daily work of staying well, staying grounded, and learning to live with what she's done. And for the rest of us, her story serves as a mirror, reflecting the uncomfortable truth that behind so many violent acts lie unspoken struggles, untreated illnesses, and missed chances for intervention. This has been the story of Isabella Guzman, a story not just about a crime, but about the fragile line between sanity and suffering, and the enduring human hope for understanding, even in the darkest of places. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay safe.